I'm going to invite that guest to come on down. Pablo Torres from Sports Illustrated. Hi. How are you?
Good, very good.
Good. So you are the expert. You know, the PGA tournament is going on right now.
Yep.
And you have said that Tiger Woods, who everyone is watching, is not playing the same. What is different?
It's the mental side of golf. You know, golf, I think, along with baseball, probably the two sports where your mind is so critically important but also so fragile. I mean, these are guys making incredibly precise motions under very, very pressurized situations. And when you have that, and then you throw on all the off-the-course stuff that Tiger's been going through, and I don't need to run down all of those things for you, but from the divorce that's pending to the mistresses and all that, his image has completely changed. And so really he's out there alone, more exposed and vulnerable than he's ever been before. And so that, to me, is an unsurprising causality there. I mean, a lot of problems, a lot of things to think about, and so his golf game is going to suffer.
Yeah, so he's not playing as well. I mean, what exactly is different? Is it his swing? What's going on?
Yeah, so his swing is a topic of debate right now. He's working with a new swing coach, Sean Foley. It's always a sensitive subject in golf. He left Hank Haney and his other line of swing coaches. But to me, if you watch the guy, it's not his swing mechanics even. It's not his physical side. He can bomb the ball still. He still has moments and flashes of greatness. It's just a matter of consistency. And you see him missing putts that he would never have missed before. And so it is a little bit of the intangibles that we don't really see in the physical. If you were to map out what he's been doing swing-wise, it's almost, you know, it's one of those things that are inside and it's hard to quantify, but the results sort of speak for themselves.
Yeah. So how do you get that mental toughness back? Like, what are the steps that you need to take?
Yeah, that's the. If I knew that question, I would be a very, very rich man.
You'd be Tiger's coach.
Exactly right. Tiger, if you're out there, I have some insight for you. No. Yeah, it's really a matter of practice also. You know, golf is all about repetitive, precise muscle memory. And so Tiger, in trying to get back to where he was, I mean, one of the things he's admitted is that he hasn't been able to practice as much as he'd like because he's trying to spend more time with his kids, for example, because implicitly he's also working through a very tough divorce, because he's also trying to manage his image, because he's trying to be committed to this Buddhism thing which he's trying to redevote himself to. And so in sports, I mean, the easy answer is always to say to be as monomaniacal as possible. You know, to do what Michael Jordan did, be so tunnel vision-like that you don't really see the outside distractions. And so once Tiger Woods has the public a little bit off his back, which seems impossible, and may be impossible, to be honest, he will begin to return, I think, to his previous form. The only problem is that he's working against the clock. You know, he's 33. Golfers in their prime are really going to be, you know, that prime age is about 32. That's the average age for a player who's won a championship, when they win a championship. So he's really racing against time a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's been called the greatest athlete of our time. If he doesn't recover from this, do you think he still deserves that title?
That's a great question. And I'm trying to imagine this 20, 30, 40 years from now, and I think you're going to see this as two distinct people, you know, and I think that sort of mirrors the off-the-course transformation that we've seen, in that we will call pre-car crash in Windermere, Florida, November 2009, Tiger Woods, maybe the most dominant athlete we've seen. But I don't think we can evaluate this same guy. He's just very much not the same person. And so if we're going to treat someone's body of work completely from start to finish, even include these waning years, then no, I think he falls out of that conversation. I honestly think he does.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, I think if he makes a resurgence, if he can prove to us that he has flashes of greatness left and he can sort of dilute this kind of decline a little bit, then I think he's certainly in the conversation, but no longer the slam dunk that he once was.
And do you think that a part of it is that his competitors sense that he's vulnerable right now?
Yes, I do. And as I was saying to Chris on the show, I mean, the comparison for me in terms of the psychological edge that Tiger Woods had was Mike Tyson. Now, that's a horrible comparison now, or a great comparison now, because of the extracurricular activities both of those men have. But I've interviewed Mike. I did him recently for a story in SI, and it's very clear that the psychological intimidation that a guy like Mike Tyson has, or a guy like Tiger Woods had, you know, being able to really intimidate and depress and discourage an entire field is so important for all the reasons we also said about why mental confidence is important. When you're facing the guy who may be the greatest your sport has ever seen, the guy who is the equivalent to Michael Jordan, and he's dominated. I mean, one of the great statistics in Tiger Woods' career is that he's been favored to win every tournament he's been in since 1997. The first tournament that he has been favored to win, of course, is this one, the PGA Championships. And that's according to the guys in Vegas who are far smarter than I am as far as developing odds. And so having a guy like that who has that track record was, unquantifiably important, and now that's gone. And so he has a whole new disadvantage that he has to work with, which is also fresh and new to him, along with everything else in his life.
Wow. Okay, now let's do the opposite scenario. Say he does recover from this,
Yep.
and he starts winning again. Do you think that this will be just like a minor blip? Will his fans be able to forget? Good
question. I just think it won't be a minor blip. The problem is that I think if it was just the car crash in Windermere, Florida, it would have been a minor blip. But everything we know about Tiger now, his image is permanently changed. I think his fans, another great statistic is that sales of his video game have been down. Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2011 has been down, which indicates that part of that brand, part of his fame and his loyal fans were tied to how great he was. And so if he comes back, you'll get a little bit of that, coming back, but now they're all aware of the more salacious, dark side of Tiger Woods, which they didn't have any clue about. And so to ask a fan, ask the average consumer to root for this guy and pay for this guy's products, I don't think that's going to be back in the same way. And if he does, it would be as incredible a comeback as anything he'd do on the course.
And, this is time to go, so we have to say goodbye,
Sure.
But thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And you know what? CBS is going to be airing the final round of the PGA tournament, so be sure to check that out.
No, I actually just wanted to ask Pablo a question from the chat room.
Just kidding. Wrong signal from Rick, that I interpreted from Rick. We have a question from the chat room, so go for it, Rick.
So, Pablo, related to if Tiger Woods is able to make a comeback,
Yep.
How many years does he have left at a prime level?
Yeah, so, one thing that's interesting to note is that no golfer after the age of 35 has won even 4 majors. And so the obvious carrot at the end of the stick for Tiger Woods is Jack Nicklaus's record of 18 majors, and he's 4 behind that now. And so as far as what his future is like, how long it'll take him, for example, to win that many, I don't know. I don't know if he can do that. I think when you combine the injuries, he's had neck problems and knee problems and the psychological stuff, and then just the difficulty of aging and the natural life expectancy and sort of life curve of a golfer, that's tough. Even if he, say, wins the PGA, I think we won't be seeing the guy who won 1 out of every 4 tournaments in his career, and that was his rate of success, which is insane and unprecedented and all of that. So it's tough. I mean, the question, I don't know. I just don't think we'll be seeing a guy who we may be waiting a while, in other words, for number 18.
Wow. Do we have another question from the chat room, Rick?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can answer this, Pablo, but do you believe that Tiger having the ability to cheat on his wife made him a better golfer? That's a question from the chat room.
It's funny. I think history and sports history is lined with philanderers and guys who were unbelievably good at their sport despite various infidelities. I don't think, I'm going to say that it's not a causal thing. I think the ability to be as reckless off the course does not necessarily correlate to discipline on it. But I will say he's not alone, and there are many other names out there which a lot of people don't know about and are still to come out about guys who maybe weren't to the same magnitude as absurd as Tiger Woods has been in terms of his marriage, but certainly hasn't let that stop them in terms of their search for eternal sports glory. So, yeah, I don't think it's causal, but I think he's in good company as far as that goes.
I have a question. You work at Sports Illustrated, and sometimes reporters, they know certain things about the people they're covering that the average person does not know. So did people know what Tiger was up to, in the sports world?
I've talked to a lot of the golf beat writers about this, and no one knew the extent. This was comic book stuff as far as the number of people who came out, the ridiculous, salacious stories that were going on. I mean, Tiger Woods did a lot of bad things, but he did them very, very absurdly, almost cartoonishly. And I don't think people knew that. I think golf beat writers who were around the guy, and SI, we wrote sort of hints at this early on. I mean, he was overmanaged. There was something suspicious about that, number one. But also, he's a guy who, who did have a little bit of a blue side to him. And so that stuff wasn't a terrible surprise, that he was a little bit of a womanizer, that he had these miscues, that he was edgier than he let on, but the extent, I think, was a shock.
It's crazy.
To anybody. No one could have predicted that.
All right, now it's actually time to go. We're going to toss it back to the broadcast. Thank you so much, Pablo.
Thank you for having me.
And come again.
Yeah.